It's about inspiring guys. True inspiration comes from growth. True growth comes from knowledge, strategies, right? Having the right knowledge and the right strategies and the right application. So you don't want to just write a book to make you feel, oh, it just made me feel so good. You want to be able to write a book that you can get individuals to be inspired, because their life, you can see it. They can see that, hey, I'm not as depressed anymore. I'm more fulfilled, right? I'm keeping my weight off, right? I'm having a healthy relationship with my wife or husband or my kids. I'm able to be more effective in my small business, right? People are inspired by their own growth more than your growth. Yeah, we might be inspired, but when we see it happen in our own life, oh, this is possible. I've applied these strategies from Michelle Jones' book. I've applied these strategies from Denise's book, from somebody's book, and it's actually helped my life. Man, let's go.
So again, so many Black authors have had the doors closed in their face. I know we don't want your manuscript. We're not interested. You don't have a market. This is not, something that people want to read. But with self-publishing, we're taking everything in our own hands. Yeah. Again, we're deciding who is my publisher, who's going to be my editor, where do I want this marketed, when do I want to have a book launch. We are taking control. We have the creativity. We're an intelligent people. We always have been. We pretty much built this entire world.
For real.
Right. So, I don't have to go into depth about that. But basically, I really see that we are going to continue to pass this down to the younger generations so that, if and when I have children, they can write their book in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. They don't have to wait till they're in high school. Or if they decide, I want to start a business, they can do that, in elementary school, middle school, whenever. So I think it's very important for us to continue on this journey to self-affirmation, affirming ourselves and each other, and not depending on, outside groups to give us that validation.
People in my community. So it becomes very important for you to understand how to gain readers, not through asking people to read your book or buy your book, but by getting readers by having these stories that are so impactful that they will ask, where can they get your book? This morning when I woke up, I saw this, and this is on Black Writers Workspace. And so the person says, so I'd like to release an essay. I've written and I've created a PDF file that I like to make available to subscribers of my mailing list, right? Now, first of all, I love this because he has a mailing list, right? If you're talking about long-term marketing, you have got to begin to compile a mailing list. Who is purchasing your book, right? What does that reader look like? And you have to begin to market them. So he then is going to create a free download so that he can track it. This is what this person wants to do, right? And so if we're talking about marketing, we're talking about how do we get customers in? How do we attract them? The free download may be a way to attract them. He tracks it, right? And then you have a way to constantly be marketing your clients. Now, for Michelle's sake, I'm not going to get into I'm anti-Amazon for a whole lot of reasons. But the thing that you have to do if you're talking about marketing on a long-term basis, you have to know who your customers are, right? And you know who your customers are by creating this tribe. And you create this tribe again, telling compelling stories that solves problems. And then what happens is people then begin to, what I always say is people will buy you before they buy your book. So
who am I writing this book for? What do they need? How does my book solve their problem? What does my book bring to them? What is the gap that my book fills for them? If it's a children's book, why do we need my book? There's so many children's books. That's one of the fastest growing genres that's out there. Why do they need my book? But you need to know your who, because that's also going to impact your language. So if you're writing a children's book, for example, and you're writing the book for K through 2, the language that you use in that book is going to be very different than the language you would use if you were writing for a 6th or 7th grader. So it's important that you know exactly who you are, identify your target audience. So when you write your book, it makes it much easier. When I'm writing, I know who I'm writing. I know I'm writing to African American women between the ages of 25 and 55. Still broad, but I know I have a vision of what they look like. I know their language. I go and I hang out where they hang out, you know, whether it's on Instagram, whether more than likely it's going to be LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm listening to what their needs are. So when I'm trying to motivate, empower, and inspire them, I see what their pain points are, and that's what I write for. You have to do the same thing, because this is tied in. Knowing your target audience is going to impact how you write your book, and also your book cover, and also the categories and so on. So
whenever you choose to have a podcast, there are a lot of benefits to it, especially to us in this beautiful writing community, especially those of us who are people of color in this writing community. And one of the biggest things is that you have communications with others that have a unique fan base. Remember, it's all about you reaching out to others outside of your small little bubble. And so when you create this podcast, you are putting yourself out there to others who may be like-minded like you, but they probably do not know how to tell that to others. And so you get the chance to be able to do that. Another good thing is that you expose yourself to a new audience. This takes away you having to feel like, oh, I have to go to book fairs to sell my book, or I have to do certain things. With a podcast, you can do the book fair, but now you can also do it from the comfort of your own home or in a studio